What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. The catalyst for this video is an education that I've gotten recently as a result of study which was catalyzed by world events here in 2022. I have to correct a statement that I've made on countless videos over the years, but also share some additional thoughts relative to what I've learned here. As a crypto YouTuber, I am on record stating how the US dollar isn't backed by anything other than faith in the government. Those comments typically follow someone's argument that crypto isn't backed by anything and it's a scam and all these sorts of things. It's a Ponzi, et cetera, et cetera. So I have, as I said, been doing some study as a result of world events and need to back off of my statement that the US dollar isn't backed by anything. And so let's get into why I need to back down off of that claim. First, a little bit of a history lesson here. We will jump into the Nixon shock here on investopedia.com. You can read about the Nixon shock, but to summarize it for you, this is that moment in our history, 1971, where President Nixon took the United States off of the gold standard. And this act, the failure of Bretton Woods, the elimination of the US dollar's convertibility into gold, is why we've been saying the US dollar isn't backed by anything other than belief that it has value, belief that the government will support it. I won't read this entire article again. Here on investopedia.com, you can read the full detail. Great history lesson, something you should all be aware of, as it likely affects you. But here's where my education comes in. The petrodollar, how petrodollars affect the US dollar. Turns out in 1973, 1974, agreements made by Saudi Arabia and the United States being the world reserve currency, they're able to transact a scenario whereby all or most of the world's oil transactions are done so in US dollars, valued in US dollars. So effectively, we can say that the US dollar is in fact backed by oil. Oil is what makes things happen. Oil is what makes the world go round. Oil is what is required to move goods and services across these great lands. The US dollar is backed by oil. So that's my education. Now, on to those additional thoughts of mine, having come to this epiphany. Let's take a look at some relationship matters. Many articles available on the internet that talk about this in more detail, but it's interesting to note that the US President, Joe Biden, and the Saudi prince aren't the best of friends. In fact, it's probably a stretch to say that their relationship is fractured. These guys apparently don't like each other. It seems that it's more so the Saudi prince doesn't like Joe Biden than Biden not liking the Saudi prince. Biden seems to be a likable guy, a guy that gets along with most everybody, unless you cross him. But this is a big deal, in my view, as the Saudi prince has the juice. Said another way, what he says tends to go. And what he is saying he's saying to the Chinese that he is interested, he is amenable, he will consider pricing oil deals in the Chinese yuan. It's a big deal. Again, you will find numerous articles on the internet that talk about this being a non-issue, this not being a big event, because it's not exclusive. It is the amount of oil that would be transacted this way is diminutive, etc., etc., etc. I'm not so sure. China is a very large consumer of oil. It is, I'm going to say, an emerging economy. It has the most people within its economy. And you can't tell me that for an event like this to occur, where you go from a single unit of account for a particular type of transactions, having something else now enter the fray and become a portion of the value consideration, you can't tell me that that's not going to have some kind of impact. I believe that impact is going to be noticeable. If something like this were to occur, if Saudis begin using the Chinese yuan to price a fraction of its oil deals, I think we're going to feel that. So yes, the US dollar is backed by oil, but it may no longer be exclusively the measure by which those oil transactions occur. So my approach as it relates to accumulating wealth, holding wealth, I will continue to hold that wealth in crypto, in assets, as a method of protection for any damage done to the US dollar, however insignificant that might be. Thanks for stopping by. I do hope you are well. I hope this has been educational. Leave me some comments down below. What are your thoughts on these ideas? Oh, before I go, there's one other thing to consider. And I know this video is getting long. We're going on 8 minutes, 30 seconds here, but there's one other thing to consider. What's going to happen when electric vehicles really begin to take off? And I know this is years away. We have all sorts of obstacles, hurdles in the way here. You got supply chain challenges, not enough infrastructure, not enough material to make batteries. The list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of headwinds in the way of electronic vehicles becoming the predominant mode of transportation. But we like to plan on this channel. We like to think big thoughts. We like to think far down the road. So what happens when the demand for oil as it relates to everyday transportation dwindles in a material way? I think that too has to be a significant consideration for the demand for oil, and as a byproduct, the price of the US dollar being backed by that oil. Again, all right, I'll wrap it up. Thanks for stopping by. Like, subscribe, click the bell. Hope you're doing well, and you will see me in the next video.